As usual, our first agenda item is to approve minutes of prior meetings, the first of which is going to be our June 8th, 2015 non-public work session. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second. By John. Second by Neil. If there's no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 And secondly, we have the regular meeting minutes also from June 8th. Do we have a motion on those?
So moved.
By John.
Second.
Second by Neil again. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a correction.
Yep.
On page 2, under like the third paragraph, like the third bullet point, Chief LaFave. The action was Mr. Gerard made a motion to accept the purchase order, second by Mr. Randlett. All those in favor? I actually oppose that.
So the second sentence of the last bullet point there should say,
That's right.
the vote was in the affirmative with
Mr. Bolton in opposition or something.
Mr. Bolton in opposition. Okay. Would someone, can we, I guess, move the minutes as amended?
So moved.
By John.
Second.
Second by Neil again.
Actually, Mr. Chair, I also have something on the last page. Maybe it's redundant, but under Chief LaFave, discuss riverfront parking. It also says all in favor, and I believe that Mr. Bolton was not in favor of that. Am I correct?
Is that the same thing?
That was the second item.
Just want to make sure.
That's weird. The second discussion point in the same item?
Well, I think the point is that you were opposed to the idea of metering parking down there, right? So this, to be accurate, it seems to me this should reflect that you voted against that too, is that right?
No, I don't think I did, to tell you the truth.
I wouldn't change it until we review the tape.
All right. So, if everybody's okay with that, we will not amend or change that bullet point on the third page. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
And we can review that tape for purposes of
Pending on it.
what happened there. Announcements. We will meet on the following dates. The next regular meeting is going to be July 13th, and after that, July 27th. Work sessions are conducted prior to the regular meeting and start at 5 o'clock. The agenda for tonight says there's a tentative work session for June 29th, but we've decided not to do that unless something comes up in the meantime. So the next meeting will be July 13th in all likelihood. Also, the town offices will be closed on Friday, July 3rd in observance of Independence Day. The meetings I cited will be held here. Weather observations for the month of May are available in the town hall. Citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify the town hall before noon, the Friday before the scheduled meeting. And then our next item on the agenda is Joseph Palmariello. How did I do with that? As a full-time police officer to PSU.
Good evening.
Good evening, Rick.
It's Joe Palmariello.
Palmariello.
I was tutored before I come in, so it's my pleasure tonight that I bring before you Joseph Palmariello. Joe is from Bedford, New Hampshire. He's a 2013 graduate of Plymouth State University in the Criminal Justice Department. He applied here for a full-time police officer position. He has completed all of his background investigation, polygraph, medical. He's completely done and ready to go. We're here tonight to ask that you approve his appointment as a full-time police officer at Plymouth State University with powers in Plymouth. And I know that you've had a chance to hear something about him at your last meeting and get the information, but here he is in person. Anything that you'd like to ask him or I, please feel free. Joe is He's a great candidate. We found nothing negative at all. Everything is way above the line with Joe.
Does anybody have any questions, or
I have a question.
Armin?
Do you need to still go to the academy?
Yes.
Okay.
He'll
When
go-
is that gonna
He'll
happen?
go to the Fall Academy,
Okay.
so we won't see him on his own probably till sometime right around winter or after. Our plan is to have him spend some time with the Plymouth officers during the summer. We've started a cooperative field training program, so that the officers get both university and Plymouth. So he'll be through that for most of the summer, and until he goes to the academy. He should be done before he goes to the academy. If not, he'll finish when he gets out. So you won't see him till about Christmas time.
What degree do you have?
Criminal justice.
Bachelor's degree?
Yes.
Anybody else?
All set.
Motion?
So moved.
You move that we approve his hiring as a PSO officer?
Yes.
Do we have a second to the motion?
Second.
So we have a second, and a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Sounds like it's unanimous.
Thank you, Rick.
Sign the appointment here.
And we'll bring Joe by to see the clerk, have him
Yeah.
sworn in.
And who did you bring with you tonight, Joe?
Oh, I apologize. I had that written down and I missed it.
Oh,
Joe's parents are both here, brother and sister, his fiance, his future in-laws.
Wow.
Did I miss anybody?
I think you got them all.
It is not, I'm sorry.
Well, thanks for coming.
Welcome.
And I think that's important because this is a job where you need family support. He seems to have great support on both sides of his family. Thanks for reminding me of that.
Well, I knew there were a few extra people here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks, Joe. The next item on our agenda here is two letters of resignation, actually, from Mike Ray. One is addressed to the Select Board and the other to the Cemetery Board of Trustees. The first says, this is to inform you that as of September 30th, 2015, I will be retiring. It has been a great experience and pleasure for me to have had the opportunity to do this job. I have truly enjoyed it. I would like to thank Paul Freitas for this journey in my life. Having worked with Paul for a few years before taking over as manager here, he had the faith in me to do this job, and I really appreciate that. It has been a great experience for me. My wife and I will be wintering in Arizona and spending summers here. You have a wonderful facility, and the residents in the town are also very accommodating to the needs of the recycling center. It's a town you can all be proud of, and I have never once been disappointed with anyone here. I will truly miss everyone who has touched my life in the last 13 years, Michael D. Ray. And his other letter is to the Cemetery Board of Trustees and says the same thing, that he will be retiring. It has been a great experience and pleasure for me to have had the opportunity to do this job. I've truly enjoyed it. I would like to thank Ted Garrity for this journey in my life. It has been a great experience to work with all of the trustees. He says again that he'll be wintering in Arizona and spending summers here. You currently have two great people who have worked for us during the last couple of years at the cemeteries, and I hope that you will consider keeping them on. They both work very hard to help keep the cemeteries looking their best. They work well on their own with little to no supervision. Michael Ray. So all of us see Michael Ray just about every week, I guess, and he's done a great job over there, so we will miss him. But time has come. I'm glad he can winter in Arizona. Next item on our agenda is the parking meters. We have, Chief isn't here, but we have we discussed at some length at our last meeting, putting parking meters down near the river, and approved it. And the chief has brought us a purchase order for the amount of money that he indicated to us at our last meeting these things would cost, and it's for $7,520.78. I think we all have a copy. Do we have a motion to approve that purchase order?
So move.
Motion by John, seconded by...
Second.
Neil. Any discussion on that? If not, all those in favor of approving this purchase order?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So I guess we'll just sign that before we move.
Only got 4 signatures.
Mine must not say. Oh, I'm the town administrator.
Is that your name?
all right,
What, put it on the motion.
Good for you.
I crossed it out as quickly as possible.
All right, there we go. Our next is carryover request. There's actually 5 of them. The first of which is from our police chief.
I can explain the
All right.
first 4, Mr. Chair.
All right.
The chief of the police department had to wait to see how much money the dispatch was going to cost this past year and whether we were going to get reimbursed within this fiscal year. So we had to make sure that we at least had the money in our budget. And as you know, a couple of months ago, we did get our reimbursement, but there wasn't time to start the addition. So this was money that had been approved from the previous year. So he's carrying that over. With Joe, again, that's contract is not being able to get to the work at this time, but $1,500 is for road construction, which will be Langdon Street. And then $41.5 is to have money for matching funds for Forster Street intersection of Bell Road and any other grant that we could pick up this coming year that requires a 25 to 10% match. And the rest will go into the sidewalks and the guardrail work that he lumped together. He had come before you about a month ago to try to take the economy of scales when the company's in town, do them all at one time.
Right, yeah, okay.
Then Eileen, Missy Town, that's money that is used as incentives that we receive back from our insurance company. And that can be used towards prizes and keeping the program going. Missy runs a program, a health program with the employees of the town.
And that's just that's a smaller amount, that's
Yeah.
$1,066.
And $21,000 for miscellaneous government. That's the town hall, and that includes your HVAC system and North Country Council master plan. That'll be ongoing.
Yeah. So these are items that were in the budget from last year but have not yet been expended, is that? Yeah, okay.
And
Can-
all of those 4 are still pending us hitting our budget at the end of this month or fiscal year.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we came $100,000 short,
Something.
then obviously we'd have to review the carryovers.
Gotcha. Any reason we can't take these together?
No, you can do them all with carryovers at one
Unless
time.
somebody has a problem with any one, or any discussion about any of these?
No.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to accept all
second?
of these carryovers.
Okay, we got a motion by Armand,
Second.
second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
And I guess just run those around real quick too. Yeah, not at the town administrator. time we'll go this way first, how's that? And while John's finishing that up, the next item on our agenda is just an announcement really from the library trustees who have sent a letter concerning a carryover, which says the trustees of Pease Public Library are requesting that the Select Board carry over into the 2015-16 budget year any of the funds from our $16,000 donation to the budget for 2014-15, which may remain unspent when all of the items for the 810 account have been settled. All of those should be cleared as of June 12th, and the appropriate figures should be in your hands by June 18th in advance of your meeting on June 23rd. We appreciate your collaboration with us, and thank you for your consideration of this matter. Just FYI. Our next item here is Eileen Town regarding the new health trust agreement. Ms. Town, how are you this evening?
This is an agreement that Health Trust has requested that we redo. We currently have an agreement with them which has been ongoing, but it was an agreement between local governments and LGC in its past iteration, which included Health Trust and Property Liability Trust. And we had both Property Liability and Health Trust under that agreement. Now that LGC no longer exists as an entity, it's been broken up into the New Hampshire Municipal Association Health Trust and Property Liability Trust. All the agreements have to be separate. So this is Health Trust redoing that overarching agreement that we have for membership in Health Trust. And essentially, it's the same agreement that we've had. It just replaces removes any mention of LGC and replaces with Health Trust, and it takes out the whole section on Property Liability Trust because that's now a separate agreement. So,
So is this our contractual?
This is a membership agreement,
Okay.
which basically is ongoing until the town notifies LGC or Health Trust that they no longer want to be a part of that agreement. And there's, I think 60 days notice or whatever we have to give them. So it's an ongoing agreement, and what they're requiring is that you pass two resolutions. The first one is a resolution for the membership agreement, and basically what that does is authorizes the town to enter into the agreement with Health Trust, and it also would authorize Paul as the town administrator to execute any documents regarding renewals on an annual basis and so forth, so that for ease of administration. It also breaks out a couple of administrative items like billing. We contract with them for billing services for the retirees and for COBRA continuation of coverage after somebody leaves town employment. They administer all that, and we have a contract or an agreement with them to do that. What they've done here is break that out as two separate agreements under this large agreement, and the resolution that you'd be authorizing would give Paul the authorization to execute those agreements.
Okay.
So that if we changed our billing practices or whatever, you wouldn't have to come back and we wouldn't have to redo the entire agreement. We could go in and out of those agreements without altering the basic agreement. And then the second resolution that you would have to pass would be, we participate in a rate pool, a group rate that includes the SAU, Plymouth Village Water and Sewer, Rumney, Thornton, Waterville Valley, Campton Thornton Fire Department, and us. And we pool together to hopefully improve our rates, which so far has been working well for us. So there's a separate resolution and agreement for entering into that pool.
Okay.
So once again, if we got out of that, we wouldn't have to redo the overarching agreement, it would be a separate agreement. So there's two resolutions, and I'll pass them along to you.
You've done some reading, I think, because you were able to explain that pretty clearly.
Yeah, I read, and also they've redone their bylaws, just in case you're interested, but they sent us the wrong bylaws, they sent us an earlier version, but the current version is on their website, so you can go to the Health Trust website and read their bylaws if you have nothing to do and or have insomnia or something and need to. So the two resolutions are these. This one, let's see, yeah, this is the overarching agreement, so it would be today's date, and here you would put in Paul's name and title, and then it would be your signature here. And then this one is for the combination of members for rating purposes. So again, it would be this date, you'd be resolving these things, and you would enter in Paul again as the authorized individual, and then today's date, you would sign it there. Are there any questions I can answer?
Well, I guess the only thing would be whether we want to read this before, is this something that needs to be, are they pestering us for this yet?
They would like it, the absolute deadline is August 1st. So I was trying to get in here because it being
Yeah, no, I
summertime
understand.
to
Sure.
make sure
Does
we didn't
anybody-
run up against the end.
I can tell you that you've already signed on all those
Yeah.
conditions.
Yeah.
It's just the changing of a company name.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask that.
Does anybody feel uncomfortable going ahead with this? I
The
mean,
main
it's-
changes that they gave, as I said, was separating out those separate things. Also, they added sections regarding the Affordable Care Act, because we're required to comply with the rules of the Affordable Care Act, and so they added language in there to clarify that. They put in some more detail in sections that we are already in the agreement, but they put in some more specific wording to clarify certain sections. They removed some language regarding HIPAA that no longer applies, HIPAA being the health insurance portability and accounting, I can't even remember, but it's the privacy and security
Right,
section that governs insurance and medical information. And they put additional sections in regarding our responsibilities to protect HIPAA information, which we have already signed, but now it's going to be all part of this agreement rather than a separate agreement. So they put all that into this agreement. So
So again, all things that you've signed already, but they've just been in different spots and they're underneath a name change.
Is everybody okay with passing this resolution, or at least, I guess this would be the motion. Well, we have to certify to Health Trust that the following is a true copy of a resolution adopted by the Select Board of the Town of Plymouth at a meeting held today, probably. So the resolution is that the Town of Plymouth shall participate as a member in the Health Trust Pooled Risk Management Program for the provision of group medical and/or other benefit plans in accordance with the application and membership agreement and NHRSA 5, I guess it's Chapter 5-B. And also that, I think it would be Paul Freitas is hereby authorized and directed to execute and deliver to Health Trust on behalf of the Town of Plymouth the application and membership agreement in substantially the form presented to this meeting. And thirdly, that maybe Paul Freitas again is hereby authorized and directed to execute and deliver to Health Trust a certificate of this resolution. So I guess we have a motion to pass the resolution.
I would like to make a motion to pass the resolution, and could I also stipulate that you can sign for the board, because there's only one signature line?
that I can. Oh, okay, sure.
And can I also just, I'm sorry to interrupt if you're in the middle of a
Yeah.
motion, but just so that you know, the other agreement we already have, again, gave Paul the authorization to
Go
do
sign.
this, yes. So
Okay.
you're just redoing what you've already done, because he's been signing all the documents and everything in relation to this, and the original LGC agreement gave him that authority at that time. So again, we're redoing something that
Gotcha.
was done previously. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
So I will second that motion.
So we have a motion by Bill, seconded by Armin to pass these three resolutions. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
I think that covers it, right? We've passed the resolution.
Yep, you just
And
have
I'll
one
s-
other resolution.
Yeah. And you want me to sign this one, right?
Yes. All the rest Paul will have to sign. So he's going to have more fun with paperwork than you will. Now that you've given him the authority, he'll have
All right, and then the other resolution is that the town of Plymouth shall participate in the combined rating arrangement for medical coverage offered by Health Trust to SAU 48, Campton Thornton Fire Department, Plymouth Village Water and Sewer, Town of Plymouth, Town of Rumney, Town of Thornton, and Town of Waterville Valley. Further, that the agreement regarding combination of members for rating purposes between Town of Plymouth Health Trust and the other combining Health Trust members, the combination agreement, is hereby approved in the form presented to this meeting, and that Paul Freitas is hereby authorized and directed to execute and deliver to Health Trust an acknowledgement of the terms and a certificate of this resolution.
So moved.
We have a motion to pass this resolution by Neil,
I'll second that.
seconded by Armand. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's an affirmative vote, I'd say. I will sign this one as well. Okay. Can I give these back to you? Thank you for coming in, appreciate it.
Thank you for signing.
All right, and then we have as the next item, well, I actually skipped over committee reports, I'm sorry. Did anybody have any committee reports? I think I saw you with your notes, yeah.
Yeah. On June 16th, I attended a meeting of the Plymouth Village Water and Sewer District where they had a discussion regarding the Tenny Mountain water system. They have it apparently needs cleaning and compliance review. They had a report from HydroSource regarding a number of issues, including complicated ownership and service, et cetera.
And what area,
Tenny Mountain,
just in general, the whole
yeah,
whole
the
road?
Tenny Mountain water system.
Okay.
And they granted a waiver to a resident of Allen Avenue to be exempt from hooking onto the sewer system. Their septic system was tested. They accepted a bid for construction of the force main on Fairgrounds Road and on Tenny Mountain. And the company, which there was only one bid. Apparently they had about 7 contractors interested, and only one of them submitted a bid, and it was for $1,098,325. It was Kingsbury Company from Waitsfield, Vermont. Regarding the hotel review for the water and sewer hookups for the Fairview Hotel, they asked for some revisions in the plans, to have the plans marked up by their engineers, and those plans were to be delivered on June 17th and submitted to the New Hampshire DES for alteration of terrain permit approval. They discussed having a new revised policy about keys being left in trucks. And they reported that their solar array is doing very well, and they anticipate that it will cut 25% off their annual cost of electricity. There also was a discussion regarding water source potential, and they approved contracts and vendor applications, a number of contracts for necessary services.
Anybody else?
Sure.
Okay, Bill?
So I attended a PERLAC meeting, which is the Pemigewasset River Local Advisory Committee, and the town appointed me to that committee. And what we did on June 11th was actually do a walkthrough on a piece of property that there's a project going in, proposed Pemi River Heights townhouses, and that required that we just take a look at it to make sure that the drainage, the retention ponds, how they're going to treat the water that ultimately goes in the river. So we walked through it, and it's the property right behind the Elks Club and RMI out on 175 in Holderness. And I was one of the lucky ones. All I had was 14 ticks on me. And I was probably like the second to last person. We all had single file, make sure that the first person gets the majority of the ticks. Yeah, but that didn't work out. But anyway, we were satisfied by doing a walkthrough, and we'll have a meeting on that in the future. And I also attended a planning board meeting where we had two lot subdivisions that came before the board that were approved. And then we also had the town visioning session, which was quite the success.
Do you want to say a few words about what happened there?
Yeah, well, actually, the representative from North Country Council, who's our facilitator, walked the group of about, 50, 60 people, something like that, townspeople showed up. And what they did was, at least the facilitator solicited the important, pieces that those members would like to see going forward that were both important for Plymouth and what they wanted to see, change that might make it a better environment. And a lot of the items were taken down by the facilitator, and that will help her create a questionnaire of the town in general to see if we can get some specific answers to some of the questions that were raised.
And this is all, you may have said this, but this is all for the purpose of updating the town's master plan, right?
I don't think I did say that, but yeah, it's the master plan was last done in 2008, and we need to go forward with that again statutorily.
Because it needs to be done is it 10 years? From 5 to 10?
Yeah, and actually, and John, you were on the planning board initially, but when was the last one? It was like a 4-year process. It was probably started in 2004 or something. Yeah. And ultimately, the document that came out was in 2008. So we're probably in the right time frame to, get that going again.
Is there going to be another session?
Well, there may be a need for another session, but this was just basically a kickoff to formulate a questionnaire to describe next steps. There may be another session, but it's kind of up to the facilitator and the planning board.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
a number of us were at that same meeting, and I believe it was televised, and it may be on the town website. And I would encourage the residents to take a look at that. There were a lot of good ideas that came out, a lot of good discussion from the audience, so that's all.
And then, if there's nothing else, the next item here is about Eversource and filing as an intervener, and it looks like this was brought here by Bill, is that right?
That's correct, Mr. Chair. And actually, it was before that master plan townwide meeting, I briefly met with Peter and Pam Martin, and they let us know, wanted to let us know about the probability of Eversource Energy, as formerly PSNH, how they're going to file for a certificate of site and facility from the Hampshire Site Evaluation Committee, the SEC. And this is for the Hydro-Quebec project known as Northern Pass. And once Eversource does this, then the town of Plymouth can become an intervener, for that process, which would allow us to participate, get the documentation, and also respond to,
So, this is after they file with the SEC, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So Pam and Peter just wanted to make us aware of the impending filing, and for us to go ahead and, draft letters to allow us the opportunity to be an intervener.
Did I see that the environmental impact statement on that was due soon? Did you hear about that?
I thought it was out, actually.
Oh, really?
Maybe,
But that's another big piece of the puzzle there, I think.
right.
Probably. And then, so the SEC, and so the idea is that we would intervene at the SEC, and then we could, I suppose, provide testimony at some point, or?
Right, well, as, most people, we're no longer on the, we probably have line of sight for the current project, but as it stands, the project itself is no longer going to be going through Plymouth. But, we'd still have a regional interest in it, and also for historic places and beauty. We want to be part of that process. And being an intervener will allow us to do that.
Are you thinking that at some point the town would actually, like the select board here, would vote to intervene? Is that?
We've done this in the past. I think we've, just put together draft language to become intervener for, I thought we, received intervener status for project a couple of years ago.
The Groton Wind, maybe?
So, it would be similar to that, where, and even the wind farm was not in Plymouth, but still it's
a regional issue.
Yeah.
So your purpose tonight is really kind of just let us know that this may be coming down the pike, and it could be soon, or were you looking for more than that?
Well, yeah, could I also, there was also some other projects that Pam and Peter were making me aware of, which I was unaware of. So we got the Northern Pass project that's continuing to, appear to be, an overland project and some buried line. But meanwhile, there's another Hydro-Quebec project, the Champlain Hudson Power Express, and they've obtained approval for a 333-mile, 1,000 megawatt high voltage DC transmission line that's going to be completely installed underground and underwater. And they're going to run cable through Lake Champlain, Hudson River, and under, right-of-ways that they've obtained with no overhead lines. Another proposal, 1,000 megawatt undersea DC transmission cable from Maine, backed by National Grid, and it's going to be called the Northeast Energy Link. And they're preparing a 230-mile, 1,100 megawatt direct or DC current underground transmission. And they're using transportation corridors, kind of like 93. So there are several projects that are going forward with little to no disagreements, primarily because they've learned from the experience of creating problems by doing an overhead transmission, and these projects are all underground. So
That's kind of been the push lately, is to see if it can't be essentially forced to put the thing underground, right?
Right.
Yeah.
If they, I think it's, unfortunately, I think it's a collaboration between, formerly PSNH, who wanted to see the use of their transmission lines
Their
overhead.
rights of way,
Yeah.
probably, right? Yeah.
But in any event, Peter and Pam were making themselves available. They've come up with some draft language that the town might use, and at a future date, they can probably be invited to come in and
They've both
chat
been
about
very
it.
involved and are very knowledgeable, I know, about the whole thing.
Right.
I'd like to ask you a question. Would you speculate that this overhead transmission line is driven by a profit incentive?
Yeah, I mean, it's cheaper to do, you know, and if they could
They
use
make
their...
money.
Yeah, if they can use their transmission lines currently, or at least the infrastructure without having to rebuild it,
Pretty much the nutshell, huh?
that's it.
All right, so maybe we'll have a more specific idea about something we may or may not want to do with that as this develops.
Yes.
Anybody have anything else? Old business, new business? Let me just make sure I got through the agenda here. I think I did, right? I think I did. I think we're gonna... Oh, geez, I did it again, Frank. Do we have any public comment?
Public has no comment.
All right. In which case, we will entertain a motion to adjourn by
So move.
John.
Second.
By Neil. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.